Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Debra's Quiet Corner. Welcome to my teachable moments. We're going to be going over something that's very important. First, we want to send out our love to all those that are getting hit with this weather. Texas and places that never seen the snow and the cold that they're experiencing now. There's outages. There's all types of weather patterns running through the South, and we're just sending out our love, and we're praying that you stay safe and that your power be cut back on and you get through this really tough winter of February. You never know what February or March is going to bring. We just never know. We don't know what those 2 months bring. So even though December and January were pretty good, I knew that we still had February and March. So let's just keep those in prayer that are going through these horrific snow patterns in the different places, and those that are without electricity. We're hoping that you stay warm, and we're hoping and praying that your power goes up soon. So our prayers are with you. We're going to be talking on the subject of rejection. And a lot of us take that as a very negative thing when we're rejected. Is rejection God's protection? Have you ever thought of it like that and looked at it as someone rejecting you could be God's protection? Setting that person away from you instead of bringing them into your life, or allowing you to maybe take them down the aisle, or become their significant other. Could their rejection that they show towards you be God's protection? Sometimes we take negative words, and rejection would be considered a negative word because we feel like if that's rejection, that's not something positive. But if we look at it in the aspect of, is God protecting me through this rejection, then we can look at it on another angle. And that's what I'm trying to bring across today. Although rejection may not always be protection, protection will be the final outcome if we trust God. Although rejection may not always be protection, protection will be the final outcome if we trust God. So I said earlier, you're being rejected by someone that you're interested in having a long-term relationship with, or you had the wedding plans and that person decided at the last minute that they didn't want to commit and go through with the wedding plans and bailed out, and you took that as rejection. It could have been God's protection keeping you from marrying the wrong person that you thought was going to be your soulmate, or being in that long-term relationship that could have been not good for you. So that person's heart was rejecting you, it showing you that they had no interest, and you took it as a heartbreak, and you took it as something negative. But really God was saying, I'm protecting you from something that could harm you by letting this person reject you and telling you no, they don't want to get married, or no, they don't want to be into a committed relationship. So even though rejection is not a positive word, it can be positive outcomes through that word of rejection. He will always protect us. So the rejection is coming to protect us. And we can't always take it as a negative. We have to take it as a positive. His word says, and we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. And that's Romans 8:28, and that's a very familiar scripture in the Christian circle. Romans 8:28 says that all things, not some things, but all things are working together for the good of those who love God and those who are called according to his purpose. So if the rejection comes, and you're in God's purpose and you love God, you can be reassured that it's working out for your good according to his purpose, as Romans 8:28 says. And if you want to read that scriptures in the New Testament, and it's letting us know that even though it looks like it's a negative on our behalf, God is working it out for our good. So I just wanted to talk about that because a lot of people struggle with rejection. And, they feel rejected and they, get isolated and they pull back from everybody. But rejection is not always a negative word. Rejection can be a protective word. If God is protecting you from something through the person that is rejecting you. So don't always look at it as a negative. Look at it that perhaps God is protecting me from something. Or maybe you wanted a job and they rejected your application and they rejected your resume. Maybe God has something else better for you, but you take it as a rejection. You can't do that because you don't know what God is working out. How do we gracefully accept rejection? Number one, we have to decide what we want matters than our ego. We have to decide what we want matters more than our ego. So our egos tell us we want what we want. We live in a society. We want what we want, and we wanted it yesterday. You have drive-through Burger King. You have drive-through drugstores. You have drive-through. I even heard them saying that they have a drive-through funeral parlor where you can just drive through, and they have the person sitting in the window, and you just drive through. So we live in a time where we want what we want when we want it, and we're not willing to wait for nothing. We want it yesterday, and we have to let our egos go. So you have to decide whether what you want versus your ego. Remember, it's all a number game. It's all a number game, remember, because everything has its time and season, and we go through process. You may be number 10 on the list, you may be number 20 on the list, but when God says the timing is right, your timing will be where it needs to be for you to get that blessing that you're hoping for. And even if you're rejected at the beginning of the line as number 1, you could go back to the back of the line as number 50. And when God says that that's your number and it's your time, you're going to be able to get past the rejection that you got at the front of the line. Make a list of all the times you've been rejected. Make a list of all the times you've been rejected and put it against the outcomes that you got because of that rejection. What was the positive outcomes of that rejection that you had received when you were rejected? That's what you have to go back and look over and see. Write it down if you can recall some of the rejections that you have going through in your life. The ones that made you cry and want to lock yourself up in the room for a week because you just felt like you were so rejected. And then you heard down the road that so-and-so got with so-and-so and they didn't stay together for 2 years and they divorced and everything just went chaotic. And this was the person that you wanted to, consider to take down the aisle to be your husband, and they rejected you and they went and got with this other person. And when you hear the end of the story of how that ended, you're like, thank you, Lord, for keeping me from that, because that could have been me going through that. Then we have to be able to remember that you're not going to be able to avoid rejection. You're not going to go through this life and be able to avoid rejection. Rejection is going to be a part of this life cycle, and there are times when you're going to feel rejected. There's going to be times when you don't get accepted, and you have to make sure that you understand that that is going to happen in this life. So don't let it get you down when somebody rejects you. Use it as a chance to prove everybody wrong. Say, oh, you rejected me. The boss passed you up on that promotion. You still go in there, do your job, give them 100%. The other person that got the promotion slacking off, ain't doing what they supposed to do, and then they looking back over your resume saying, well, maybe we picked the wrong person for this job. And even though you didn't get it the first time, that person that got it may not keep it, and then it's your chance to get up and get that position because of the rejection that happened when you thought that you should have gotten it and they overlooked you and you were rejected. Doesn't mean that you can't still be successful and perhaps maybe get that promotion. Maybe not the one that the person had, but you may get it in another area of the job that you're working for. And always remember that it can lead you to something better. When you get rejected, there's always some possibility, great possibility, that it's going to lead you to something a whole lot better. So always remember that when you're going through the rejection and you're feeling so bad because that person rejected you. That's a bad feeling. Somebody reject you and say, nah, I don't want to have nothing to do with that, and I don't want to have nothing to do with you, and you just ain't my type, or you just ain't for me. That hurts. But you're not looking at the long-term part of rejection, because it could lead you to something better. So the person that rejected you, you already know they didn't want to be involved or talk to you or give you the time of day. It may just lead you to something better. And then you want to ask the question why. You want to ask yourself the question why. Why did this person reject me? You may never get the answer. It's not you. It doesn't have to be you. You did anything wrong. It could be just, like I said, God's protection. So when you're rejected, don't take it as a negative. Take it that I have new opportunities. I may not have gotten that position, but God has something better for me. I may not have gotten with that person. That wasn't the person for me. I heard about the marriage and how they went through and it didn't last, or whatever the circumstances is. Let's not take the word rejection as a negativity. So I just wanted to come on and briefly go over that with you and talk to you about rejection. And even though we know it has negative, definitions, if you look it up, it can become a positive if we can just accept the rejection and say, God, I know you might be protecting me from something that I can't see by allowing this rejection to come. Everybody stay safe. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for visiting the videos. I thank you so much. Like, share, leave a comment, and hit the notification button so that you'll know when I'm going to download another video. You can come over and see me on Debra.Payton.B30 on Instagram, Debra Payton Quiet Corner on Facebook, and Deborah's Quiet Corner here on YouTube. Everyone have a blessed day. And tell those that's coming to see you, don't come rain on your parade. And tell them that they're going to come rain, make sure they bring an umbrella. Peace out. God bless. Everybody stay safe and warm. We're praying for you, those that are going through these storms with this weather. Thank you. Bye-bye. Love you with the love of Christ.